See if this feels familiar. You have heard that real estate is a great investment. You have seen people on YouTube driving expensive cars and saying it is because of rental properties. You have a vague sense that buying property and having someone else pay your mortgage sounds like a good idea. But every time you try to actually learn how to do it, every book, every podcast, every article uses words like cap rate, debt service coverage ratio, and cash-on-cash return like you already know what those mean. And you close the tab, or you close the book, and you go back to your existing index funds, which are boring, but at least they speak your language. Joshua Dorkin and Brandon Turner wrote How to Invest in Real Estate, the ultimate beginner's guide to getting started specifically for that moment. Dorkin is the founder of Bigger Pockets, the largest real estate investing community in the world with over 2 million members. Turner built a portfolio of hundreds of rental units starting from a single-family house he bought in his 20s. Together, they wrote a book that treats the beginner like someone intelligent who simply has not been given the right framework yet. Today, I am going to give you that framework in 20 minutes. The concepts, the strategies, the vocabulary, and the mindset. By the end of this, you will understand what the book is actually saying, and you will be ready to decide whether real estate belongs in your financial plan. I will say upfront that the book may have more contents than you need to start real estate investing. Don't feel like you have to be an expert in all of the concepts before you can start investing. I'll give you my take at the end on what are the most useful ones based on my experience. Before we start, hit like and subscribe. Let's begin. Section 1, Why Real Estate at All, the 5 Wealth Pillars. The book opens with a question that most people skip: why real estate specifically? Why not just put everything in index funds and call it done? Dorkin and Turner's answer is that real estate generates wealth through 5 simultaneous mechanisms that no other investment class fully replicates all at once. They call these the 5 wealth pillars. Pillar 1, cash flow. This is the rent income that remains after paying all expenses: mortgage, taxes, insurance, maintenance, vacancy, property management. If a property brings in $1,800 per month in rent and costs $1,400 per month to operate, the cash flow is $400 per month. It is passive income that arrives monthly, and it scales with each additional property. Pillar 2, appreciation. Properties generally increase in value over time. The national median home price has increased at approximately 4% per year historically, meaning a $200,000 property bought today is worth roughly $296,000 in 10 years before any improvements. Unlike stocks, you get to use leverage to buy it, meaning you put down $40,000 and get the appreciation on the full $200,000. That is how wealth scales quickly in real estate. Pillar 3, loan paydown. Every month, your tenant's rent payment pays down your mortgage. Over a 30-year mortgage, the balance drops to zero and someone else paid it. The book emphasizes this as the silent wealth builder because most beginners forget it is happening at all. On a $160,000 mortgage, a tenant paying your mortgage for 30 years builds $160,000 in equity you contributed almost no money to grow. Pillar 4, tax advantages. Real estate investors receive tax benefits unavailable to stock investors. The most powerful is depreciation. The IRS allows you to deduct a portion of the building's value each year as a paper loss, even if the property is actually increasing in value and generating income. Rental property can show a tax loss on paper while generating real cash in your bank account. This shelters income in ways most investors never access. Pillar 5, inflation hedge. When inflation rises, rents typically rise too. The mortgage payment stays fixed. This means the real cost of your debt decreases over time while your income grows. A $1,400 mortgage payment in 2024 feels heavier than a $1,400 mortgage payment in 2034 will feel, because everything else costs more in 2034 except your fixed mortgage. 5 wealth mechanisms simultaneously. That is why the book's case for real estate is compelling even to someone who already invests in stocks. Section 2, the beginner's mindset, how to think before you buy. Before the book gets into a single strategy, Dorkin and Turner spend significant time on mindset, and this is one of the things that distinguishes this book from most real estate content, which jumps immediately to tactics. The key concept here is what they call the analysis paralysis trap. This is the state most beginners live in, indefinitely consuming content, taking notes, reading books, listening to podcasts, learning every strategy while never actually buying anything. The information feels productive. No property ever gets purchased. The antidote the authors prescribe is not recklessness. It is education with a deadline. They recommend setting a specific date, not a vague someday, but an actual calendar date by which you will make your first offer on a property. The goal is not to know everything. The goal is to know enough to take an informed first step and to treat that first step as the real education. Here is a statistic that grounds this section. The average real estate investor spends 18 months consuming educational content before taking any action. 18 months. Meanwhile, a property bought conservatively 18 months ago in most markets has already appreciated meaningfully and generated rent income the learner was not collecting. The book also addresses a second mindset trap, waiting for the perfect deal. Dorkin and Turner are explicit that the perfect deal does not exist in the way beginners imagine. Every deal has flaws. The question is whether the numbers work, not whether the property is ideal. Don't wait to buy real estate, they quote the famous maxim. Buy real estate and wait. Section 3, the main strategies, your options as a beginner. The book covers multiple real estate investment strategies, but for beginners it focuses on 4 that are actually accessible without a large team, significant prior experience, or unusual market access. Strategy 1, long-term buy and hold. This is the foundation. You buy a property, rent it to tenants, collect rent that exceeds your expenses, and hold it for years or decades. The cash flow funds your life. The appreciation and loan paydown build your net worth. This is the strategy most real estate wealth is built on, according to the book, because it is the only one that rewards patience and does not require constant activity to generate returns. Strategy 2, house hacking. This is the strategy the book is perhaps most enthusiastic about for total beginners. You buy a small multifamily property, a duplex, triplex, or fourplex, live in one unit and rent the others. The rental income from the other units offsets or completely covers your mortgage. You live for free or near free while building equity, getting experience as a landlord with the safety net of living on the property, and using owner-occupant financing, which offers down payments as low as 3.5% through FHA loans rather than the 20% to 25% typically required for pure investment properties. The math on house hacking is remarkable. A fourplex in a reasonable market might cost $400,000. With an FHA loan, the down payment is $14,000. If 3 units rent for $1,100 each, monthly rental income is $3,300, which on a $400,000 property with a 7% mortgage rate covers most or all of the $2,661 mortgage payment. You live in the 4th unit essentially free. Turner did exactly this as his first real estate purchase, and it is the strategy he recommends most frequently to beginners. Strategy 3, the BRRRR method, which stands for buy, rehabilitate, rent, refinance, repeat. This is a more advanced strategy, but the book explains it clearly. You buy a distressed property below market value, renovate it to increase its value, rent it to tenants, refinance it at the new higher appraised value to pull out your original investment as cash, then use that cash to buy the next property. Done correctly, you can recycle the same initial capital across multiple properties, building a portfolio without needing new money for each acquisition. Strategy 4, short-term rentals. Airbnb and similar platforms have created a new category of residential real estate income. Short-term rentals in the right markets can generate 2 to 3 times the income of long-term rentals on the same property. The trade-off, higher management intensity, seasonal variability, increasing regulation in many cities, and a greater dependence on platform algorithm and review scores. The book treats this as viable, but cautions against beginners starting here due to the operational complexity. Section 4, the numbers, how to analyze a deal. This is the section that intimidates most beginners. The book's treatment of deal analysis is genuinely one of its strongest contributions. Turner and Dorkin strip the math to the essential metrics and explain each one in plain language. Gross rent multiplier, or GRM. A quick screening tool. Divide the property price by the annual gross rent. A $200,000 property renting for $20,000 per year has a GRM of 10. Lower GRM generally indicates better value. Use it to quickly eliminate properties before running deeper analysis. The 1% rule. If the monthly rent equals at least 1% of the purchase price, the property may be worth analyzing further. A $150,000 property should rent for at least $1,500 per month to pass this screen. The 1% rule is a quick filter, not a definitive verdict. Markets with high appreciation often fail the 1% rule but still make excellent investments. Use it as a sorting tool. Net operating income, or NOI. Gross rent income minus all operating expenses, excluding the mortgage. This is what the property earns regardless of how you financed it. Property bringing in $24,000 per year in rent with $10,000 in operating expenses has an NOI of $14,000. Cap rate. NOI divided by the property price. A $200,000 property with a $14,000 NOI has a cap rate of 7%. Cap rates allow comparison across properties regardless of financing. Higher cap rate generally means higher return, but often also higher risk or lower quality area. Most stable residential markets see cap rates of 4% to 8%. Cash-on-cash return. This is the one the book emphasizes most for beginners. It is the annual cash flow divided by the total cash invested. If you put $40,000 into a property, and it generates $4,800 per year in cash flow after all expenses including the mortgage, your cash-on-cash return is 12%. This is the number that tells you what your actual investment is doing relative to the cash you deployed, and it is far more useful than the cap rate for finance purchases. The book suggests an 8% to 12% cash-on-cash return as a reasonable target for most markets, and anything above that is excellent. Beginners often skip this calculation and buy on hope rather than math. The math protects you. Section 5, Financing: How to Actually Pay for It. I don't have enough money to buy real estate is the most common reason people give for not starting. The book systematically dismantles this objection. Conventional loans require 20% to 25% down for investment properties. On a $200,000 property, that is $40,000 to $50,000. Significant but achievable, especially for someone at the $10,000 to $20,000 to $100,000 milestones we have been discussing in this series. FHA loans require only 3.5% down, but require owner occupancy. This is the house hacking door. Live in the property and you access residential financing terms on what is functionally an investment property. This is not a loophole. It is exactly what FHA loans are designed for. Seller financing. The seller acts as the bank. No traditional lender involved. Terms are negotiated directly between buyer and seller, which can mean lower down payments, flexible qualifying standards, and creative deal structures not available through banks. This is more common than most beginners realize, especially on properties that have been listed for a long time. Partnerships. You find the deal. Someone else provides the capital. You split the returns. The book normalizes this as a legitimate entry point for people who have expertise or time, but limited capital. According to the National Real Estate Investor Association, over 35% of beginner investors use some form of partnership financing for their first property. Private money lenders. Individuals, sometimes friends, family, or professional private lenders, who lend at agreed rates secured by the property. Often faster and more flexible than bank financing for distressed properties that do not qualify for conventional loans. The book's core message on financing, not having 20% in cash, is not a reason to wait. It is a reason to learn the other options first. Section 6, The Team: You Cannot Do This Alone. One of the most practical sections of the book is its emphasis on building a professional team before you make your first purchase. Real estate investing is not a solo sport. The investors who crash are frequently those who tried to do everything themselves. The core team Dorkin and Turner recommend: a real estate agent who works with investors. Not a buyer's agent who helps people find their personal home. An investor-friendly agent who understands return on investment analysis, knows which neighborhoods have strong rental demand, and brings you deals before they hit the public market. This agent is found through the BiggerPockets network, local real estate investing clubs, and referrals from other investors. A lender who understands investment property financing. Not the mortgage officer who helped you buy your personal home. Someone who knows DSCR loans, portfolio loans, seller financing structures, and the creative financing options the book discusses. A property manager. Even if you plan to self-manage initially, knowing a reliable property manager, what they charge, how they operate, what they handle, is essential for your financial modeling. Property management typically costs 8% to 12% of monthly rent. If your deal does not cash flow after including this cost, your deal depends on your personal labor, which is a job, not an investment. A contractor and an inspector. Know these people before you need them urgently. Inspection that reveals a $40,000 roof replacement on a property you were about to close on is a negotiating tool if you have a reliable contractor estimate. Without one, it is just a frightening surprise. The book's framing on team building. Your network determines your net worth in real estate more directly than in almost any other investment class. The deals, the financing, the management, the market intelligence, all of it flows through people. Build the team before you need the team. Here is what Dorkin and Turner's book is all about. Real estate investing is not complicated. It is not exclusive. It is not reserved for people with large down payments or existing portfolios or inside connections. It is available to anyone willing to learn the framework, run the numbers honestly, build the right team, and take the first step. Let's recap, and I will give you my take as I said I would in the beginning. The framework is the 5 pillars: cash flow, appreciation, loan paydown, tax advantages, inflation hedge. These are terminologies to be familiar with. Recognize these are the different ways that real estate property can provide return to you. The numbers are gross rent multiplier, cap rate, net operating income, and cash-on-cash return. These are great ways to determine if the property return is worth your while. Another very important measure is ongoing affordability, which is whether your rent cash flow covers your expenses. This is just as important as any return on investment calculation. Few expenses including mortgage, insurance, tax, insurance, and maintenance cost you $1,500, and your net rent collection is only $1,300. The question is, are you going to absorb the negative $200 every month? Or are you going to pay more down payment, or do you look for property that costs less to minimize the monthly negative cash flow? The strategies are buy and hold, house hacking, BRRRR, and short-term rental. For beginners, buy and hold and house hacking are probably the most straightforward. If you live in an area where house hacking is not feasible, then buy and hold is likely your approach. BRRRR and short-term rental may be your next step once you are in the market, as they could feel overwhelming for beginners. The financing options are conventional, FHA, seller financing, partnerships, and private money. I recommend talking to a lender to explore more financing options when you're ready. Because even with a conventional loan, a fixed versus floating rate loan could impact your monthly payment. You should also know your credit score, because it would affect your loan, which affect your monthly payment. Remember, investment properties are all about the numbers. The team to gather is the agent, the lender, the property manager, and the contractor. These are all important people that will eventually be part of your team. To be practical, if you aren't yet in the property market, it's hard to gather your team. One good way to start is to identify property management companies who are also broker-dealers. This means you get both the agent and property in one step. These companies are also great in finding you rental properties, and they can refer lenders for you. Of course, the author's website is also a good resource to start. Other lessons I learned through the years are that don't let the price tag put you off. Be open-minded about investing in properties that are not in your local neighborhood. This will open your doors to a lot more properties around the country that would fit in your price range. That is the whole book. Organized simply, applicable immediately. The one thing the book cannot do for you, and is honest about not being able to do, is take the first step on your behalf. That is the one part of this that requires you to stop reading and start doing. The best time to buy your first investment property was 10 years ago. The second best time is after you have read this book, run the numbers on a real property in your target market, and work with an agent. Hope you find the content helpful. Hit like and subscribe. See you in the next one.